Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen out on the West Coast, good afternoon on the East Coast, and good evening over in Europe. This is Harry Brelsford from SMB Nation with our weekly webinar series, always educational, always fun, and we always appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend, because I get it. Busy is busy, and but you know, the funny thing is, if you ever want to get something done, you ask a busy person. So about that bit of wisdom as we jump into the release of our 7th annual SMB Nation Salary Survey. And a little bit of housekeeping up front, folks. You'll want to use the chat feature to ask questions. Today's webinar, we've rehearsed it, and today's webinar is actually a 30-minute webinar. And there's a couple of reasons for that. We want to respect your time. We want to kind of match the content with the proper timings. And then also next week, our next magazine issue is being released that will have more details and more analysis surrounding the salary survey. So there's a chance for you to dig a little bit deeper as you go on. Now, guess what, folks? Today, I'm excited to let you know that I'm broadcasting from a famous Seattle coffee shop. You know, Seattle's is known for a couple of things. So the rain, our coffee, Amazon, Microsoft. Today I'm at the Pegasus coffee shop on the 2nd floor in Pioneer Square. And it's just kind of cool, you know, as I start to get into that holiday feeling coming up. But if you do hear some background noise, please forgive me. But this is coming to you live from the Pegasus coffee shop in downtown Seattle. Once again, folks, be sure to use your chat feature to ask your questions. Without much further ado, I want to introduce Anurag, who's our research partner, sir, over at Techaisle. You've been working with us for a long, long time. Totally appreciate it. Sir, welcome aboard, and let's just jump right into the good stuff.
Hello.
Yes. There you go, Anurag. How are you? I can hear you.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Techaisle, and then we'll jump right into the survey results. How's that sound?
Sure. Absolutely. Techaisle is a global market research and industry analyst organization that is very much focused on the SMB and the channel partners that serve the SMB community. We conduct over 50,000 surveys each year across 20-odd countries to understand the market trends that are happening within the SMBs and how the channel partners are trying to serve the SMB community.
Excellent. So, Anurag, do you have control of the screen? I'm still
yes,
seeing
the yes, I do. So let me start it off. Thank you all for joining us today. This is the 3rd year that Techaisle has been associated with SMB Nation in analyzing the results of the study. Keeping with the improving trend of the last few years, we continue to get increased number of responses and better responses as the study and its results are getting noticed and sometimes eagerly awaited by the channel partner community. We all know that 2012 has been a year of tremendous transitions as channel partners have finally begun to turn around their cloud, virtualization, mobility offerings. However, before they can sink their teeth fully into these technologies, they are hit with Windows XP migrations, big data, and myriad other emerging opportunities that are still bubbling. Well, we can talk about these points another day. Today we are here to discuss the results of the salary survey. So let us jump straight into the slide deck. And up front, let's talk about the average salaries. SMB Nation's 2013 Channel Partner Salary Survey reveals that the average salary of channel partner employee is $101,062. That means little over 100K, which is up 9% from 2012, when it was 92,544. So when we conducted the study in 2012, it was 92K, and year before that, it was less. The average salary was less than 90K. So it has been progressively going up. Also, if you look at the chart, the analysis of the salary ranges shows that the highest percentage of employees with the salaries fall within the 71K to 100K gross salary range. That is slightly less than 1/3 fall into the 71K to 100K range. That is the 29%, the bar which is the longest. Many of those that report less than 30K annual compensation were actually part-timers, and some of them earned hourly wages. The increase of 9% from 2012 to 2013 that we saw in the previous slide is actually not out of place, as channel partners are starting to show optimism not only in their business but also their compensation structure. When specifically we asked about their compensation outlook for the next 1 year, that is by the end of 2013, 51% are expecting an increase in their compensation, which is represented by the green slice in the pie chart. Out of those that are expecting an increase, 19%, that means out of those 51%, 19% are expecting an increase of 6 to 10%, and 12% are expecting an increase of more than 10%. This means that 1/3 are expecting an increase of 6% or more, which is pretty much at this point in time the industry standard. Despite the increase in average salaries from 1 year to another year and the expected increase by the end of the year 2013, 50% feel that their gross salaries are lower than others within the industry. I mean, we have done other types of studies as well as we look at the other industries as well. I mean, this figure is kind of not out of place because sometimes the employees themselves feel that they are being paid lower than the others, primarily because of the number of hours they work in or what they have heard from outside. Moving on to the next slide. But in spite of the fact that they feel that 50% feel that the gross salaries are lower than others within the industry, by and large, channel partners are really happy within their jobs. 65% of the employees are enjoying their job, but feel that there could be some improvements. And 14% seem to indicate that they simply love what they're doing and would not change anything about their job, which is pretty much the standard across other industries as well. The 21 percentage points, adding 6% and 15%, indicating those that are not happy, is almost identical to the overall statistics across all industries in the U.S. I mean, this is based on the study that was not conducted by us, but another very well-known research organization that does it for CNBC. So the SMB channel partner study is no different than other industries in this respect.
Yeah, Anurag, I have a question for you. Can you hear me, Anurag?
Yeah. Yes.
I recently read, and I almost Facebooked it, but then against, well, probably with my better judgment, I did not Facebook this article. Must have been in the Seattle Times about 2 weeks ago. It was a reprint of, I'm going to say, a New York Times article or some, AP or some major news source. And it talked about 70–80% of people don't like their jobs. Now that was, a broad article, so that's probably going to, account for bus drivers and delivery guys and so on. So kind of understand the context. But if you're telling me our survey shows that at the end of the day, 65%, and we could even add 14%, so 65 plus 14, 15%, 79% It's almost the opposite of what this New York Times article said. Any thoughts on that? I mean, I kind of think our guys love to work. Our guys and gals love to do work in our space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I kind of, the subsequent slides prove that as well, that many of them have been, serving the small business needs and have been in the channel community for over 10 years, and that's a pretty long time, and some of them have been in their jobs for over 10 years. So which all means that they really enjoy what they're doing, because it also gives them an opportunity to learn from their customers, learn from their vendor partners. I know it becomes challenging because of the economy, because of the constantly changing technology, but at least they are there to serve the community, which is what is helping them, and they are masters of their own business as to how they can grow the business and move it in different directions. Right now, there are so many different opportunities, whether you move from a VAR to an MSP, or you become a cloud provider or a cloud builder, or you get into virtualization. So there are different types of opportunities out there, which kind of keeps them pretty much grounded and happy all along. Other studies we have seen that, and the studies that I was quoting about, one of the recent studies that has been done by CNBC also kind of shows that by and large people are happy, but between 14 to 25%, 21%, the way you look at the data, would actually like to change something about their job, or actually would like to switch their jobs. So in that respect, I think our respondent base and the channel partners are doing rather well.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Please continue.
So moving on to the next slide, this talks about the various forms of compensation and how and when bonuses are allocated. So I mean, as would be expected, W-2 or equivalent is the most common form of salary payment, with over 54% saying so, whereas 40% are on an owner draw structure, which is a combination of dividends, bonus, or even W-2. The W-2 form of payment has gone up slightly from the previous year, when it was 47%, and the owner draw has fallen slightly from 44% in the previous year. The bonus structure is based either on the company's overall revenue target or individual performance. I mean, only 22% of you said that no bonuses are actually paid. However, what is important to understand is that for 44%, the bonus is calculated on a combination of factors, and those combination of factors are employee performance, revenue target, profitability, meeting customer satisfaction, and so on and so forth. 42% of the employees, if you look at the donut chart on the left hand side, 42% of employees receive salaries with or without bonus. Interestingly, 16% have profit sharing as well, mostly between owner managers and our partners, or sometimes between the owner and the other senior executives, as I mentioned earlier. The person sharing profit has dropped a little bit from 21% in the previous year. If we look at the last 3 years historical data, we clearly found that the percentage of channel partner employees having college degrees and higher had increased. Within the last 2 years alone, the percentage had jumped from 64% in 2011 to 69% in 2012. However, this year we seem to have found that there has been a jump in those having graduate degree, including multiple masters or doctorate. The average age of an SMB channel partner employee is 45 years, with nearly 60% of the employees that are in the 35 to 50 years range, and majority of them, real majority, 81% have been in the IT industry for over 12 years. Not only are the owners and employees in the IT industry for a long time, over 40% have been in the current role for over 12 years. So
let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, this is a great slide. I could spend hours here. In fact, I see 4 blogs coming out of this slide. Imagine that. Education level. So, you know, for a long time at SMB Nation, we've joked, we've actually really never done it, but we've joked about with our magazine circulation up around the mid-50,000s for a number of reasons. We have that number. So 54,000 circ, and when you have these kind of demographics that you have 54% with a college degree, you add up the graduate degree and the master's degree, you know, let's just say, you know, for the sake, it's certainly well over half. If you wanted to have a stretch goal, you could say 2/3 of our people have post-secondary education. And you could go to, I've always felt we should go to American Airlines and we should say, you know, American Airlines, you should buy an ad in our magazine, because forget that it's about SMB channel partners, forget that it's about MSPs. These are highly educated, desirable. No, I would say the age group is a desirable age group. The income range certainly approaching 100 and exceeding $100,000. American Airlines, you should buy a full-page ad. And I just wanted to kind of do a call out to that think, if you see where I'm going, it's kind of one thing to talk about the health and vitality of the channel and hopefully the health of the channel member. That's a whole other webinar that I hope you guys are walking an hour a day as you approach your mid-40s. But you see what I'm saying, Anurag, is that these are small business owners. This is the real deal. These are college-educated, 6-figure, mid-40s, experienced individuals. Hello, American Airlines. Do you have any comments on that kind of thinking?
Oh, you know, it's not only American Airlines. I think it grows across the board, right? I mean, one would sometimes, you know, the industry outside of the IT industry kind of think that many of the channel partners who provide products and services to the small and mid-market businesses actually kind of drifted into this role. But you know, it's very well grounded, it's very well educated, very learned, very traveled channel partner community. So in effect, you know, if you start to look in terms of the ads that you started to talk about, if you go beyond the airline industry, you go to the hotel industry, go to airlines, go to tourism industry. I think there is absolutely tremendous opportunity here.
Exactly, and I joke with American Airlines. Of course, Alaska Airlines is my favorite, but you get the point. Marriott hotels, Ford motor cars, Sandals resorts. This is an impressive demographic. One final comment. 2 final comments is that if I'm looking at the color coding properly, forgive my eyes, are we only attracting 2% of 18 to 25-year-olds? Is that the blue 2%, or is that 19% for 18 to 25-year-olds? And forgive me, I can't quite make out the color code.
So no, so it is 18 to 25. Is only 2%. It is not because that we are not attracting them. It is just because of the fact that they have not been exposed to SMB Nation salary survey, for example. So they may not have participated enough on this. But you know, if you start to look at, you know, the last 2 to 3 years, I mean, let's look at these people who have got college degrees, right? I mean, they have been there in this industry for a long time. So they must have entered into this channel partner industry when they were very young. So as those people come, they start to interact with their customers, with their magazines like yourselves and other communities, they will start to kind of partake into this.
Yeah, thank you. And then finally, before we move to the next slide, I just wanted to highlight the did not complete high school at 2%. Man, that's a low number. I mean, seriously, I don't know what the national rates are, but boy, that sounds like an affluent community. That sounds like the kind of neighborhood I'd want to live in. Did not complete high school at 2%. Anurag,
Yeah.
do you have any idea? You know, I think nationally that's a much larger number nationally.
Oh, it is. But you know, one of the interesting. But you have to add they did not finish college, 2%, and did not complete high school, which is at the bottom bar. So there are about 4% of them who have not completed some kind of a degree or so. It is quite low, but you know, this is not out of place within the channel partners, because we have done many different types of studies for other OEMs like the PC OEMs or the telcos and the service providers who are trying to understand the profile of the salespeople who are there within, say, the Verizon store or the AT&T store or the T-Mobile store and all. And you know, one of the things which outside of those stores, people think that those jobs are very temporary. They're there for a short period of time. When they find something better, they will move on. They do not have college degrees. But guess what? The average years that have been in the job is about 4.5 years. Within that Verizon store, that the person that sits behind the counter, that is 4.5 years. And they have got college degrees, and they are absolutely loving their job. So it's the perception that is outside is kind of different. You know, it's a pretty educated lot. I mean, we go. I mean, me, myself, and all of my analysts, we travel, we interact with so many different channel partners, not only in the U.S. but across different geographies. And you know, it's highly educated. You can engage these channel partners in any kind of discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll add just one more thing, and I have a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll move on. But I can confirm your experience at those mobile stores. I went one layer deeper in the AT&T stores that are inside the malls. And you know what, Anurag, the store manager makes a very attractive income.
Yep.
I had a perception that these were kind of, out where I live, we have a couple military bases, and quite frankly, I thought these were maybe weekend warriors from the military base kind of working Saturdays and Sundays at the AT&T store, and maybe down around minimum wage, and you know, they're technicians in the Navy, and they kind of know their way around a mobile phone, and
Yep.
so on. Well, once I went a layer deeper and talked to the manager and so on,
Yep.
boy, I'll tell you, Anurag, there's some days I want to put my resume in. Let me tell you, brother.
Yeah.
They're making money, honey.
You know, I know. Yep. So one of the last points on this slide, which is the lower right-hand slide, which talks about the years serving small business IT needs. As I was mentioning earlier, you know, the channel partner community has been serving the small business needs for a long time, and 29% have been there for 16 plus years. And if you add up the last 3 bars, that's almost 70% have been serving the small business needs for over 9 years. And which is why it's not out of place to say that these channel partners are the trusted advisors of the SMBs. I mean, one cannot shake that at all, because you know, they have seen it all, they have done it all, they know exactly what the SMBs need, and the SMBs kind of trust them.
Well, and what I would add to that, Anurag, is sadly we lost one of our leading partners, Alan Schrader. Died way before his time a couple of months ago after the SMB Nation Spring Conference, and he fits this profile of 16 plus years experience, and there's a real reality. He was starting to niche on business intelligence, BI, and SMB, and there's a real hole in my heart over losing Alan, but more maybe equally important, we lost all his intellectual capital. And I mean, that's just life, but all of that know-how, all of that knowledge that he accumulated over his career, sadly, we won't benefit from. So folks, going back up to the pie chart about age groups, make sure you're working out an hour a day. That's all I have to say. Anurag, shall we move on?
Yeah. Let's talk about training, because one of the questions which we specifically asked was on the training, do you go and take training and certifications and all? And what we found from the survey results was that one of the strong tenets of the channel partner community is the drive to learn. And this has become even more important today than ever before. And in all studies that Techaisle conducts with channel partners, we find that channel partners continue to ask for training from their vendor partners. This is one of the topmost needs that they require from their vendor partners. Many are very candid about their training needs that are such as on-the-job training, on-site, online, 24/7 support in terms of training as well, and above all, knowledge sharing by the vendors about the various emerging technologies, such as how do we cut the noise between cloud, virtualization, and mobility, and managed services, and which is the right vendor, which is not the right vendor, so on and so forth. So it is therefore not surprising that SMB Nation salary survey respondents also actively immerse themselves into training to enhance their skill sets. 85% of employees took one or more training in 2012. And although 42% participated in training sessions 1 to 2 times a year, another 20% got trained more than 6 times a year. That's a lot. Of all the training sessions that the employees attended, 34% were company paid training, that is the channel partner paid training, and another 23% attended company paid certification courses as well. So it's not only just training, but they're also trying to get themselves certified as much as they can, time permitting.
Exactly. Well, let me comment here. This is actually a very interesting slide because in the events industry, the industry standard I've gone with, and you can find any statistic to support your cause, of course, but there's kind of been the belief in events in general, professional events, white-collar professional events. It's typically about 10% of the population is I'm going to call event eligible, and by that I mean take the legal community now and forget about continuing education. Lawyers have to clock certain hours for CPE credits. Put that aside. But and I come from a family of lawyers, so I would concur. There's a legal term that about 10% of the legal community is what I would call event eligible. It's that lawyer who wants to kind of elevate himself professionally. And by that I could mean not so much the American Bar Association, but maybe going to a Chamber of Commerce educational event. Something that's in the zone, but maybe slightly outside of the practice of law. The lawyers are businessmen. So, I've always felt that's sort of a 10% of the population hears the message. And I'm not saying we're not subject to that too. 500,000 computer guys in the U.S., yada, 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 maybe only 10% hear it. And in the salary survey, the fact that you completed the salary, it doesn't surprise me the number's higher, but I guess the point I'm getting at is that I'm really encouraged by this. And I do want to give you a shout out, Anurag, that you, sir, are presenting relevant research findings from a variety of studies you do. I just read your mobility study recently. Very good. You've been studying BYOD. But you're one of our feature speakers at the SMB Nation Fall Conference, October 10th through 12th in Las Vegas. We're teamed with Redmond Channel Partner Magazine this year. And Anurag will be presenting, I'm sure he'll touch on some of this, but he's got a whole corpus of research that applies to SMB. So that's early October, SMB Nation Fall. Let's go to the next slide as we start to round the corner on our timing for this event. And wrap up.
Yeah, so this is the last slide. We had actually asked them, the channel partners, what did they feel about the economy in the next 1 year, and what challenges they really faced in the last 1 year. So, while there is an uncertain outlook for IT growth, SMBs we know are still considered as the growth engine of a country's economy. In fact, in our survey, we found that collectively, 62% of the channel partners are moderately optimistic and optimistic about the economic outlook sentiment for 2013. 62% you get by adding 39% and 23% of the two columns at the right-hand side. The collective optimism is higher than previous year's survey at 57%. You may say that it's higher by only 5%, but that's a lot. Channel partners also faced tremendous challenges in 2012. These partners are themselves SMBs, and therefore they face the same challenges, improving sales and marketing. That is, how do we generate more revenues? How do we generate more leads? And they have been using customer referrals as the main vehicle for generating leads, but are also heavily dependent upon their vendor partners. When the phone rings, it is usually 1-800-DEL or HP or IBM, and it is not usually 1-800 channel. So there has to be a lot more type of a partnership between the vendor and the channel community, and this is one of the challenges that many of the channel partners have faced. A few of them that have transitioned into emerging technologies and have started to turn profits, they are faced with the problem, how do we manage the growth? Well, that's an interesting problem to have, but again, you have to look for outside help as to how we can go about trying to manage the growth. There is also still confusion within the channel partners with emerging technologies. Getting, also in terms of, what is cloud, what is MSP, what is the ideal business model, how do we make profits, how do we convince our SMB customers, so on and so forth. Then there are also some of them even started to complain that they are getting overburdened to obtain certification. Again, this is not out of place because almost every vendor is now coming out with a certification scheme, more so than ever. In the past it was, you get certified in a certain type of client server technology, but now you have, a Cisco certification and an HP certification, you are cloud certified, you are cloud provider certified, you are this certified, you are that certified, because that's the way the vendor community is also trying to sell to their SMBs, go to a certified partner. So many of you have started to complain about that as well. On the economy related side, the effects of economy are still being felt through, though the economy is on the mend, but for many channel partners, their SMB customers have not yet relaxed their belts. And when you are serving only on an average 20 to 25 SMB customers, if there are a few of them who are giving you majority of revenue and they have tightened the belt, it becomes a major challenge. And then there is the perennial challenge of finding skilled employees. Again, this becomes more important today than in the past because of how quickly the technology is changing. So to be able to get those type of employees who are already trained not only in deployment, but also be effective in trying to sell by articulating the benefits of a technology to an SMB customer who himself is not very trained, is not very skilled on the technology. But all in all, channel partners are optimistic, they are satisfied, and their average compensations have gone up by about 9%.
Hey, if I could add a couple of comments, by the way, great work. But I'm a little surprised, and well, I'm not surprised. Let me start over. I'm not surprised that the Windows XP migration opportunity isn't showing up as one of the real opportunities in the next 12 months. And here's why. A lot of the vendors, including Microsoft, are not yet messaging that heavily. It was just this last April that almost in stealth mode, quite frankly, it didn't get as much publicity as I would have imagined, that they announced that this coming April 8th, Windows XP will be end of life, and the zombies will come out on April 9th, and yada, yada, yada. But, maybe, Anurag, when we did this survey, it's not a top-of-mind opportunity. Now, let me pivot that statement and tell you that, once again, folks, if you look at the fall conference, one of our pathways, we have a couple different pathways, technical pathways that, have real connected content, but one of our pathways is the XP migration opportunity, and we also are adding a class with a tip of the hat to the O3 server and O3 exchange end-of-life migration opportunity. But Anurag, I wanted to at least highlight that. I don't know if you have any comments to add why XP migrations didn't show up heavily in our survey. Any thoughts?
So there are a few things which are really happening in the area. Windows XP migration is like, you and I were having a conversation earlier that it's like the Y2K opportunity. But there are a couple of interesting things which are happening now, is that you have organizations like Citrix and VMware and others who are pushing their channel partners to use virtualization as a technology to help these SMB customers, move away from XP or even maintain their PCs, which are XP, but use them in a virtualized environment. So, and that's where some of the channel partners are kind of looking at. Number two is, based on some of the studies that we have done from the SMB side, on the small business particularly, to understand that, what will happen. I mean, first of all, are they aware that XP is coming to an end of life? Depending upon the country, it goes up and down. But on an average, about 40 to 45% only are aware that Microsoft is going to end support for XP next year. So that's a pretty low number. Even if they are aware, some of them are saying they will just replace that older PCs with the newer PCs. But by and large, many of them do say that their current channel partner will continue to support it. So how they will support it, what they will do is unclear, but that is one of the things which are happening right now.
Yeah, and I'm spending a lot of time in this area, and I'll start to have messages in blogs and stuff surrounding this after about July 1st. Well, bingo, what do you know, the Microsoft fiscal year start, when they start to message it, I'll be right in there with them. But there's exception cases, Anurag, where I've already done some writing on this, that, I have a HP plotter that has to have XP, the driver, about a 13-year-old plotter, and we do our event banners on it. Now, the key is going to be to isolate that XP laptop to drive the plotter, and you just, USB key the PDF over to it and print. So without going into, ridiculous details today, folks, it's certainly a webinar coming to a city near you soon. And Anurag and I will be right there with you. I know you're researching this area, so stay tuned for more. A little bit of housekeeping, and then I'll let you make a couple of final comments, Anurag. So I'm pleased today to announce that the BlackBerry Z10 winner for completing the survey form, you guys may remember we incentivized the salary survey with a BlackBerry Z10 phone, and it's Tyler Weisenberg. So Tyler Weisenberg, you'll be receiving notifications soon from our office, and more importantly, you'll be receiving the phone soon. So congratulations, sir. You are the proud owner of a BlackBerry Z10. I call it a mobile device because, quite frankly, it's a computer. And, oh, yeah, it just happens to serve as a phone. With that said, Anurag, why don't you go ahead and wrap up the webinar with some final thoughts, and then we'll thank our guests, and away we go.
Yeah, absolutely, Harry, and I really do appreciate everybody participating in this study year on year, and I think this year we got some really good insights. We had some good qualitative comments as well, and we recently did our own SMB channel partner survey. We did that in US, Germany, Australia, etc., and I started to correlate the data that we got in the salary survey with the US data, where we surveyed about 610 channel partners. It kind of gels very well. So I really appreciate that. But all in all, I can say that is, in spite of adversity, the channel partners are resilient and an optimistic community. They are really doing well, and they've started to understand the various new business models, and I think it all bodes well.
Okay, well, thank you for being our partner in crime and research. It's been a great multi-year relationship, and we're looking forward to a bright future along with the channel partners and working with you. So, folks, this does bring to an end the release of the 7th annual SMB Nation Salary Survey. So keep your eyes open for the magazine. It'll be released over the weekend, where Anurag has written a more in-depth article providing a lot of context around the salary survey findings. All the usual suspects are in the magazine. I talk about Windows XP migration, and I talk about we're at the 1-year point of the small business server end-of-life notification, and we're just 3 or 4 days away from the actual discontinuation of the retail sales of small business server. We're 6 months away from the discontinuation of the OEM sales of small business server. Hang on fast. It's going to be both a challenging and exciting year of opportunity. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. Goodbye.
Thank you.